Various planes can be better or worse suited for certain game modes. Since I mostly play ground realistic battles, I wasn't expecting much from this plane. The Japanese fighter A7M2 seemed like something that has very limited ability to provide close air support. But after a while of playing it, the most unexpected thing has happened. I realized that I was right. This plane wasn't so good. But at the same time, I'm not saying that the plane is bad either, because it's an amazing plane. I loved to fly it. The problem is that the game mode itself often does not give opportunity to utilize what this plane is good at, and most of the time required to do what the plane cannot do effectively. This plane is amazing when it comes to fighting other planes, especially one-on-one. I don't recall anyone being able to outmaneuver me. Of course, the fact that in ground realistic battles people usually take heavy bombs helps as well. Not many players here are using fighters purely to fight planes, but even if they already dropped all their ordnance, they were unable to outmaneuver this plane. Once I got on opponent 6, almost certainly they are going to die. By the way, how do you call when defeated enemy plane crashes into the ground? The aircraft was grounded. There were only 3 exceptions when someone was able to defeat me in air combat: when I failed to avoid the head-on attack, when I was outnumbered, and when I failed to notice the enemy. But these situations do not happen often. Even with my average skills, I felt confident with this plane. The problem with ground RB is that opponents respawn with planes very inconsistently. What do I do when there are no more aircraft? Fly towards the respawn hoping that someone will jump into a plane and at the same time providing zero support for my allies on the ground? Or stay close to the battlefield looking for squishy targets here and accepting that newly respawned enemy fighters will have an opportunity to attack me head-on where I don't have an advantage. As you can see, I chose to stay close to action, but the A7M2 felt pretty useless here. First of all, killing something with machine guns is complicated, because there are not many open-top ground vehicles at battle rating of this plane. Well, maybe except SPAAs, but you don't want to stay anywhere around them for too long. Science suggests that there is a direct correlation between how long you stay near SPAAs and how often you get shot down. But the most interesting situation is when attacking vehicles that do have armor, even if it's a very thin roof layer. They were extremely difficult to damage, and it takes multiple attacks to destroy something that is usually considered a squishy vehicle. That is because the plane has only 2 high-caliber machine guns that have proper armor-piercing ammunition that damages through the armor, while 2 autocannons only fire rounds that detonate on impact. Even the rounds that are classified as APHE and according to stat card have up to 27mm of penetration have no fuse delay and work in a similar way as high explosive rounds, which makes autocannons pretty useless against something that has at least some kind of roof. I'm not sure if it should work like that, but this is how it works at the moment of making this video. Furthermore, both machine guns and autocannons are located on wings, which increases the bullet spread, making the machine gun fire even less effective. My only hope for being useful against ground units were the secondary load options. A7M2 can carry a pair of bombs or rockets and can launch them one by one, so it was possible to make up to 2 kills. There are 60kg bombs and 4 types of rockets. But all this weaponry has a very low amount of explosives, so you must hit the target directly in order to destroy it. The bombs were too unreliable. In most cases it was pure luck to destroy something with them, so I switched to rockets, hoping that at least I could use them from a bigger range to deal with annoying SPAAs. Even the biggest rockets with 10 kilograms of explosive were mostly effective against something that I would be able to destroy with machine guns anyway. A direct hit into something that has armor wasn't always enough to destroy it. You need to aim at vulnerable tank areas, which is hardly possible when flying a plane. I consider destruction of armored tanks with these rockets luck rather than skill. The secondary loadout is so ineffective that returning to the airfield just for the bombs or rockets is unreasonable. It consumes a lot of time away from the battle, and all you get in return is 2 more small opportunities to destroy something if you are lucky. I was only going there if I needed to refill machine gun ammunition, or what was more likely, to repair the fuselage damage, because the maneuverability of the 7A2M suffers after getting hit, which is pretty bad when that's the only plane's advantage. And overall, plane's defensive characteristics seemed pretty poor. There is only armored glass to protect the pilot, and half of the fuel tanks are not even self-sealing. Usually it's not a big deal, the plane doesn't get hit that often, because it can stay behind the enemies where it's relatively safe most of the time. But sometimes a stray bullet from a tail gunner or SPA can create serious troubles. This plane can deal with other aircraft perfectly fine, but due to inconsistent enemy planes' presence in ground-realistic battles, there were plenty of battles where A7M2 felt useless as there were no one to use its good maneuverability against, and switching to ground units to provide close air support is not very effective because autocannon rounds don't penetrate armor and all secondary load options are too weak to be used reliably. I would rate A7M2 6.5 hooks out of 10. It absolutely dominates the sky, but once the sky is dominated, there is not much else to do except flying around the battlefield looking for open-top vehicles and only occasionally getting an additional kill with bombs or rockets.